Welcome to the How of Business with your host, Henry Lopez, the podcast that helps you start, run, and grow your small business. And now, here is your host.
Welcome to the How of Business podcast. This is Henry Lopez. Most business owners say they want the option to sell one day, to sell their business, but very few actually build a business that someone would want to buy. On this episode, I'm going to walk through 5 practical reasons your business will sell and what you need to build to have that exit option. You can find all of the How of Business resources, including the show notes page for this episode, and learn more about my one-on-one and group coaching programs at thehowofbusiness.com. I also invite you to join the How of Business community on Patreon, and please subscribe wherever you might be listening so you don't miss any new episodes. So the question is, will it sell? Can you eventually actually exit your business by selling it? Many business owners say they want to sell one day, but the reality is that very few ever do because their businesses end up not being very attractive to any real potential buyers. And so it's all about exit readiness as a business discipline, the way that you go about growing and building your business. And it's not about selling tomorrow, especially if you haven't gotten your business ready. It's about building that option in as you grow your business. You know, one of my favorite books on this topic is Built to Sell by John Warrillow, and I had the benefit of having him on the show back on episode 349. But what John Warrillow argues is that a sellable business is a productized business, meaning your core service or offering is clearly defined, standardized, and delivered the same way every time, or pretty close to the same way every time, rather than reinvented for each client or highly customized for each client. Now, again, it's not that there's anything wrong with those types of businesses if it doesn't meet that criteria. We're talking about what's most sellable here for a typical small business. And so to summarize here and introduce the topic, the 5 reasons your business will sell are: you have a repeatable offer, you have recurring revenue, you have documented systems, you have some level of owner independence, the more the better, and you have a growth story, an opportunity for the potential buyer to see how they can take your business to the next level. Those are the 5 reasons that your business will sell or has the higher probability of selling. Are there other reasons? Of course there are, but for the purposes of this episode, I'm going to focus on those 5. So before we get into more detail on those 5 reasons why your business will sell, let's talk about why selling must be intentional. Most businesses fail to sell, to exit through a sale, because they haven't prepared for it properly, partly again because they have no systems and no transferable value, at least not enough for someone to pay anywhere near what your business should be worth, or to make it worthwhile for you to sell it. Again, referring to episode 349, where I chatted with John Warrillow, he says, quote, "The best companies are built to thrive without the owner." End quote. Now, the reality is, in my experience, is that for most of us as very small business owners, that's a hard thing to ultimately achieve, to have a business that is completely independent from us. But we can get pretty darn close. We can get to a point where we're not working in the business every day, where the business can function even if we're not there for a period of time, where we have built the systems and empowered the people on our teams that will be able to operate it even when we're not there. Of course, this doesn't apply to a solopreneur type of business or a solo practitioner. We're talking about here businesses that can scale by bringing in other people to help you execute without you having to do everything, or without you having to do most of what is involved with delivering the product or service that you offer. This is Henry Lopez, briefly pausing this episode to share exciting news about business bookkeeping. Yes, bookkeeping. It can be exciting, especially when it's accurate and timely and you don't have to do it. I'm excited to announce that I've launched the How of Business Bookkeeping, a technology-driven essential bookkeeping service for small business owners like you, and I'm accepting a limited number of clients in our early access program. Let me ask you this: do you have accurate and timely financials to measure the performance of your business and help you make critical decisions? If you're behind on your books, or tired of doing it yourself, or frustrated with your current bookkeeper, then I invite you to consider my new bookkeeping service, the How of Business Bookkeeping. The service includes your QuickBooks Online subscription, monthly account and credit card reconciliations, accurate financial reports, a KPI dashboard, and professional bookkeeping support, so you always know where your business stands and you can make decisions with confidence. All of our bookkeeping work is performed by US-based QuickBooks certified bookkeepers, ensuring your books are handled accurately and professionally. And it's all brought to you by my company, The How of Business, a name you can trust to help you run and grow your small business. And right now I'm waiving the $99 onboarding fee for new clients. So to learn more or to schedule a free consultation, just visit thehowofbusiness.com. Look for the bookkeeping service link on the homepage or on the menu. Take that first step today and finally get the timely and accurate bookkeeping you need to help you grow your small business. Visit thehowofbusiness.com to learn more. So let me share some further thoughts for each of these 5 reasons why your business will sell. Reason number 1 is you have a scalable, repeatable offer. By repeatable, we mean something that is your core offering, a product, a service combination that you deliver through a process. It's a repeatable process. It's not only you that can deliver it or that can sell it or deliver it. Others can do so. You have consistent margins on this. It's not variable to a big degree. The pricing logic is consistent. And so it's something that others can sell. Others on your team can sell. You can repeat the sales process, and it doesn't have to be you highly configuring it or building it or the only one that can sell it. John Warrillow again says, quote, "If every project is custom, you don't own a business, you own a job," end quote. So again, if you're in the type of business, like say you're doing consulting as a solopreneur and every project is customized, it's not that that's a bad business. It's just going to be hard, if not impossible, to sell that business because it's so highly customized and so dependent on you. So for example, let's say a bookkeeping firm has 3 fixed packages, an introductory package, a kind of middle of the road, and a higher end package for small businesses that need more bookkeeping work. What a business like that can do ideally and should do is standardize the onboarding, standardize how bookkeeping is conducted, standardize the reporting, standardize the pricing. It's not the owner who's the only one that can do the work or sell it or onboard someone or provide the bookkeeping. And so that's a business that's repeatable, that someone else following your system, your recipe, can also execute. At the other end of the spectrum is, as I mentioned, something like a consulting firm, where perhaps every proposal is different. The scope always changes and is specific. There's no standard deliverable. It gets highly customized or completely customized for each client. It's going to be really hard to sell that type of business because the prospective buyer cannot see, understandably, how they can repeat that, how they can scale that. So complexity usually makes it harder to sell a small business. So the takeaway here on reason number 1 that you will sell your business, which is you have a scalable and repeatable offer, is to ask yourself this: could someone else sell and deliver this exact offer without having to redesign it? That buyer of your business, can they take your recipe, how you do it, how you sell your product or service, and can they just continue to execute and have an opportunity to scale it, maybe enhance it, but to be able to take what you're doing and continue delivering it? Reason number 2, revenue is predictable and recurring. In your small business, if you get to a point where your revenue is predictable and recurring, that's reason number 2 why your business will sell. Now, repeatable does not necessarily equal recurring. Repeatable means, can they sell the same offer again? Recurring has to do with revenue that continues automatically, subscription type revenue. So for example, let's say a web designer, just an example, a web designer has repeatable business. They can build a website the same way, the same approach, but once they build it, they're done. They've billed the client, they've collected their money, and they're on to seeking and serving the next client. There's no recurring component, except if maybe that business also offers something that is a subscription, like ongoing SEO work or support or social media marketing. So they expand beyond just building a website to other services that do provide an opportunity for recurring revenue. Another example, a residential HVAC company, let's say, that has annual maintenance plans. Well, now that component is recurring and predictable, and that is very valuable to a potential buyer. So not only does this HVAC company do installs and one-off service calls, but they're also selling annual maintenance plans that provides that recurring and predictable revenue that makes up reason number 2 why your business will sell. Buyers pay premiums for predictability of revenue. For reason number 2 why your business will sell, revenue is predictable and recurring, I want you to think about how much of your revenue is contracted, subscribed, or retained or repeated monthly or whatever period of time that is. Now, not all business models lend themselves to repeatable revenue. So if you don't have that, that doesn't mean your business is not sellable. But this is, if you do have it, or if you can add it, it's one of the reasons your business will sell. Reason number 3 your business will sell is you've systematized your business. You've developed and documented systems. This is fundamental. And I've been talking about this forever since day 1 on my podcast, how critical it is to develop systems. Buyers are not going to pay for information that is in a bunch of people's heads, or maybe in your head or your key star employee, because when they walk out the door, there goes that knowledge. It hasn't been institutionalized. And so anything that's an informal process, or if a buyer hears, well, this process is so complex, only David can do it, that's a red flag. That's a problem. And it's something you should look for. It goes back to the only reason that would be a valid answer is you have such a highly engineered solution that that's the only way to do it. And even then, I would challenge you that as unique as you might think your process is, there is lots of it that can be documented. So buyers want, understandably, transferable operations, written playbooks and manuals and instructions and checklists, measurable controls. How do they measure productivity? How do they measure success? And those are key things to a business. I'll give you an example. A business that I bought and then sold 6 years later. When we bought that business, there were very little systems in place. Over the course of the first few years of operating that business, I developed comprehensive systems, both for the front desk. There was a front desk position, everything that happened, and from checklists to open the location to closing it to everything in between. And I had a back office manual that laid out step by step everything that had to be performed from a financial perspective and other processing that had to occur on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. All of that was documented. And I can tell you from experience that one of the reasons I had multiple offers to buy that business was in part because the systems were so documented, because these buyers saw that they could take over the business and continue operating it the same way. They didn't have to learn it. They weren't going to have to try to extract that from my head. It was all documented. It was turnkey. And that added tremendous value to that business. Now, as it relates to systems, I think you start with, if you don't have anything of significance in place, or if you want to validate that you have the right systems in place, there are really 3 systems that are critical and every business must document. One is your sales and lead system, or leads and sales system. How do customers find and buy from you? Number 2 is your delivery and operations system. How do you fulfill those orders? How do you deliver the product? How do you install the product or deliver the service? And 3 is your financial management system. How do you manage the money that flows in and out of the business? Those at a high level are the 3 most critical systems that every business should have documented. So an actionable takeaway here for you on reason number 3 that your business will sell, which is you've systematized the business, is if you were to take a vacation or disappear for 30 days from the business, you did not appear at the business, you didn't check in. Ideally, you tell them ahead of time, but you're gone for 30 days. What would happen at the business? Would the business continue to operate? Would it still continue to bring in leads and make sales and serve customers and deliver the product and service the product? Would it continue to collect and pay its bills? If all of those things continue to happen, let's say at least at 90% rate, then you probably have good systems in place. Now, what you want to validate is that you don't just have a great manager in place that knows it all. That obviously would allow you to step away from the business, but doesn't solve this issue or doesn't address this point of having systems in place. Reason number 4 that your business will sell, the business doesn't depend on you. So owner dependence, if the business depends on you, that's a value killer. Buyers are going to see that, or most buyers that are willing to pay a premium are not going to give you that premium if they very quickly discern that the business is based on you. You're the one that brings in the money, or you're the only one that can deliver the product or the service, or everything has to go through you. No one is empowered or trained or capable of making decisions or making anything happen. You have the secret recipe in your head. That's a business that's entirely or very heavily dependent on its owner or maybe a key employee or 2, and that will kill the ability to sell your business. Going back to John Warrillow, here's a quote related to this. Quote, The moment the buyer realizes you are the business, the multiple collapses, end quote. And by multiple, meaning what you're going to get paid as a multiple of your profits. One of the typical ways, simplest ways that a small business is valued. So what does it look like if you do have independence, if you're not in the business day to day? Well, you have management layers, you have a team in place, you have a leadership team in place. You consistently delegate authority, you empower that team to make things happen, to make decisions, to make the company run. Your client relationships are owned by the company or teams on your company or someone in your company, not you. And you've trained at least to some level a successor or someone that can operate the business if you're gone, let's say for a month, if you were gone from the business. Have you empowered a team that can run the business for some period of time without you at all? Reason number 5 that your business will sell is you can tell a credible story about growth. You can share with your buyers and they can see how they can continue to grow or scale the business. Buyers are buying the future. That's why they're paying you a premium, ideally, a multiple. They're not buying the past, although the past is important because it is, of course, the only true indicator financially that we have of what's going to happen in the future. But strong growth stories, meaning from the buyer's perspective, include that they can see, or you can help them see, expanded market opportunities, untapped channels where there might be some pricing leverage, either from the sell side or the buy side, and capacity to scale. They've got to see where they can now take this business to the next level. They can take what you've built and scale it. So now let me share with you a simple scorecard to assess where you're at right now based on these 5 reasons your business will sell. And if you're not where you can write this down, don't worry, just listen through and kind of keep this in your mind. And then you can always go to the show notes page for this episode at thehowabusiness.com and I'll have the scorecard there. So as I walk through these 5 reasons why your business will sell, I want you to rate yourself or self-score on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being not good, 5 being very good. So the first one is a repeatable offer. You have something that is repeatable, not just a highly customized one-off every time you sell something. Number 2, recurring revenue. So in addition to what you might sell that's a one-time thing, you also have something that you sell that is recurring revenue of some sort, a subscription or some other type of ongoing revenue that's predictable. Reason number 3 is documented systems. This is a critical one. 5 means you've got comprehensive systems. Number 4, reason why your business will sell, owner independence. So a 1 means the business is highly dependent on you. You're still involved day to day in the business. You're still making the bulk, if not all of the key decisions. A 5 means you could step away for 30 days and you have people in place to make decisions. Number 5 reason why your business will sell, they see where they can take the business next. They see how they can scale the business. So a 5 is that there's a clear opportunity on how they can take the business and therefore why they would pay a premium. Those are the 5 categories. Score yourself. If you've got 20 points plus, and the maximum total would be 25, 5 times 5. If you've got 20 plus, I would say you're pretty darn exit ready. 15 to 19, you're kind of still working on it. You're building. And under 15, then maybe what you have is a job disguised as a business. Got a lot of work to do if you're really going to have an opportunity to sell your business. So I'll wrap it up here. The point I want you to take away is that a sellable business isn't built at the moment you're ready to exit. It's built years in advance through repeatable offers, predictable revenue, strong systems, and a level of owner independence. Even if you never plan to sell, building a scalable business gives you more freedom, stronger profits, and far more control over your future. This is Henry Lopez, and thanks for joining me on this episode of The How of Business. I wish you the best as you start and grow your successful and profitable small business, and hopefully be able to sell your business at some point in the future if you desire to do so. I release new episodes every Monday morning, and you can find the show anywhere you listen to podcasts, including the How of Business YouTube channel and at my website, thehowabusiness.com. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to The How of Business. For more information about our coaching programs, online courses, show notes pages, links, and other resources, please visit thehowofbusiness.com.